Well, your time is 6:50. The South African Oceans economy contributes a 3% towards the economy of the country and has a potential of creating over 70,000 jobs. In the 2016-2017 financial year, over 80 million was allocated for rehabilitation and maintenance of harbors. This morning, we take a look at the role of the maritime transport policy, which includes the oceans economy and creating more jobs in the country. To talk more about it, we are joined by Dumisani Ntuli from the Department of Transport. Remember, you can be part of the conversation by calling us. We're on 011-447-1742 or 2570, or you can leave a comment on our Facebook and Twitter pages. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to the watchers. Yeah.
Now, we obviously have to start. I mean, what role does the oceans economy play in the growth of our country, and what impact does it have on our GDP?
Well, I think, basically the shoes that you wear, the pair of shoes, the sneakers that you have, the iPads and all the other equipment that you have at home, if you can think for a moment how they got into your space. They went through shipping. Shipping is very important for South Africa. Shipping moves about 95% of our import and exports. So its contribution into the economy is greater than an ordinary person would imagine on the street.
I mean, when you say 95%, that's pretty much everything. So in terms of just import, export, that kind of thing. So this is an industry that, as South Africa, we need to really not take advantage of, but we need to do better in that space.
There is a lot that, as South Africans, can contribute. If you are a young person out there and are willing or are interested in maritime transport, it is important that you need to explore and investigate what it can offer. There are vast opportunities there. The goods that come into the country in the form of import and export come through the ports. But South Africa has a challenge that we do not have a share in the movement of those goods. Most of the goods coming in the country and those that exit the country are moved by foreign vessels. And that's what we need to change.
I know that that's something you said that you want to address, and that's part of the maritime transport policy. We'll get to that in a second, but I just need to ask you, what sectors in the oceans economy create the most jobs? Would you say that create the most jobs?
Well, at the moment, because South Africa has got 8 commercial ports, and these ports handle our goods coming into the country and those that are exiting, so they would be the major employer of labor. And South Africa, outside of other countries like Australia, which is the major export of coal, South Africa's got a coal terminal in Richards Bay, and that as well creates jobs. But also there are related sectors, because maritime transport is a service sector. So therefore there are interrelated sectors who directly would create jobs that find its link with the logistics chain, which maritime transport is part of.
So when you speak about the jobs, the actual physical job, when you're applying, what are the jobs that you're actually applying for? So when you go to a port and you look, you're trying to get in that industry, what kind of specific jobs are you looking at in terms of working at the port? What are you looking to do?
I think what you are asking is the general awareness that is absent there.
Okay.
Because particularly we need to get young people to develop interest in maritime transport. And I think as government and the minister has been vocal about this, is to get young people interested. So the maritime awareness in schools at a basic level as well as at a high level would further expose a varied opportunities that are there. But importantly, if you are a young person, we can work even on board ships.
Yeah.
And imagine, it's you earn in dollars, and it's critical that we need to get young people not only to support South African shipping, but to support the shortage of seafarers globally.
So would you say that this is an industry in that regard, in terms of its awareness that's out there, people knowing about what's available to them, the opportunities available to them? Have we fallen short in that regard?
Well, the young people are the future, and I think the challenge that we have is to get them interested and involved. That's why in the policy there's a very strong direction that we need a maritime common brand. So that we are then able to reach out not only to coastal communities but to people inland. You'll be amazed to find out that there are quite a number of experts in supporting the ships and the ports who come inland. So maritime transport is not only for the coastal communities, but it also extends on inland.
So it's pretty much about creating an awareness, and I think that's definitely something that needs to be done. In terms of the oceans economy, a lot of people compared Operation Pakisa. What's the difference between the ocean economy compared to Operation Pakisa and what you guys are trying to do?
Well, anyway, I'm sure you guys, the legacy of the current government would be the extent in which it has exposed maritime sector. And the program of Operation Pakisa in the ocean economy was an initiative of the government to begin implementing the National Development Plan, and the maritime sector was a winner because it was the first sector to be considered for the implementation of the National Development Plan. And Operation Pakisa, therefore, is an intervention that begins to build the necessary infrastructure, to build the necessary, develop necessary skills and expertise to support the growth and development of the maritime transport sector. It is a program that is currently unfolding, and it had identified the need to have a comprehensive maritime transport policy because most of the interventions and programs under Operation Pakisa require a firm policy base for them to be implemented fully.
Okay, so obviously when we speak now about the maritime transport policy, you've said that obviously 95% of import and export goes through the maritime industry. So obviously right now it is largely foreign-based. Companies that are running it, or if I'm mistaken there, you can correct me. But how do we change that? How do we make it relevant to South Africa and make it benefit South Africa more?
The Minister of Transport has termed the Comprehensive Maritime Transport Policy as a passage of hope and development. It is because the policy would help us create a footprint for South Africans in national shipping, because it promotes coastal shipping. As you have correctly said, most of the goods coming to the country and moving within the ports of South Africa are carried by foreign ships. So the policy would change that, and it will create a cabotage and coastal shipping. But there's an acknowledgement that for cabotage to be successful, you would require to connect with the region, SADC, and therefore it becomes critical that in the policy there's a very clear projection that we need to develop the skills that are required, we need to develop the infrastructure, that we need to have a blueprint, a plan. South Africa does not have a maritime transport sector master plan, so you need the council, an all-inclusive maritime sector development council, to then work and be able to develop programs that would address job creation, that would address the growth of the economy.
So yes, definitely an industry, I think, that is understated and something that needs to be put out there more, especially for the young people. So we say thank you for your time, and definitely look forward to seeing the developments in the maritime transport sector.
So we invite young people, come on board and sail with us.
And sail with you, yes indeed. We've been speaking to Dumisani Ntuli.